Okay, so we're good to go. Thank you for joining me. It's great to have you all here. So as you already figured out, this webinar is recorded. The recording will be made available with the rest of the material. I'll get to it in a second. I will be happy to hear from you, your opinions, your hot takes, your maybe not so hot takes, your questions. Everything can go to the chat. We will definitely have time by the end of my presentation to take any questions that you might have and have nice discussions. And with that, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about reframing DevOps, maybe adding something to DevOps, maybe looking past DevOps in the context of developer productivity engineering. So I'm going to start with a conspiracy theory. So Abby Richards made this chart about conspiracy theories, stuff like from fun and kind of harmless to like really hurtful stuff, which is completely detached from reality. I really hope that my conspiracy theory will be somewhere in this area. But we'll see, or towards the bottom, because it is really grounded in reality. So before we get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Baruch Sadogurski. I'm at jbaruch on whatever social media is trending this week and whatever Twitter is called this week. I'm developer productivity advocate with Gradle. You're probably familiar with the company. We have a very successful open source build tool called Gradle, and we also have tools that are designed to make your life simpler, easier, and make you more productive. The tool is called Velocity, formerly known as Gradle Enterprise. Check it out, it's really cool. My personal history, I started as a developer many years ago, working with JFrog for 11 years as developer advocate, pivoted with JFrog from Java development area to DevOps, and now coming back full circle to support developers in their journey to developer productivity engineering. Co-author a couple of books, DevOps tools for Java developers and the Liquid software. Check them out. I think you're going to enjoy them. The most important slide of today's webinars is this. If you go to speaking.jbaruch, you will find there a page dedicated to this webinar. It will have the slides, already has the slides, sorry. It will have the video once the webinar is over and the recording will be rendered or whatever. It has all the links to everything I'm going to mention, starting with the conspiracy theory through the books that I mentioned and everything that is going to be from here now on. And to make it easier for you to find this page, it's conveniently in the bottom of every page, including my Twitter handle or whatever it's handle, and the hashtags, no fluff, just stuff that you should use when you praise this webinar, hopefully, and DPE, which stands for obviously Developer Productivity Engineering. We're going to talk about what it is and why do you need it. News from No Fluff Just Stuff. We organize an entirely new and exciting conference about DevOps. It's called DevOps Vision. It's going to take care in December 4 to 6 in Clearwater Beach, Florida. I mean, I cannot think about better place to be in December than Clearwater Beach, Florida. And I really invite you all to join me. The agenda is packed. It's like more than 60 sessions from amazing speakers, both the speakers you love from the No Fluff Just Stuff circle, but also amazing rock stars from the DevOps community. There are a lot of very sweet promotions going on. There is an early bird that the tickets are available for much less than they will be later until October 20. And there is another one that I'm very excited about. It's buy 5, get 5. It's going on right now until November as well. You can get using the QR code or just going to jbaruch/B5G5 It's really cool. You can bring the entire team, top DevOps content, and Clearwater Beach, Florida in December. It's a winning combination. Yeah, so getting back to my history, as I mentioned, I started very long time ago as a developer, and it's been a while, but I still remember what it is being a developer, because once a developer, always a developer, and this will help me to explain the conspiracy theory that I promised you. Now, the conspiracy theory goes as follows. DevOps is a crafty plan of ops people to make the developers work more. And I have proof. Exhibit A, the Phoenix Project. You obviously all heard about this book. I guess the majority of you read the book. If you didn't, you really should. This is like the most important book, I would argue, on DevOps ever written. And it's actually a shameless repurposing of another great book that is called The Goal, but in the context of DevOps. It's a fiction novel about how a company reinvented itself thanks to DevOps, and how they invented DevOps and then kind of saved the company thanks to DevOps. So I guess that's the idea, and it serves as an exhibit for proving my conspiracy theory, because on the cover of the Phoenix Project, there are all the main characters, and there is a lesson to learn there. So let's go over this, over those main characters, and see who are they and what we can learn. So here we have Patty McKee. She's director of IT service support. She works in ops. We have Wes, who is director of distributed technology ops. He's an ops guy. Sarah, she's in sales and marketing. Steve, he's the CEO. Dick, he's the CFO. And here is our protagonist, Bill Palmer. He is the one who kind of invents DevOps and saves the company with DevOps. And he is a VP of IT Ops. He's an ops guy. We have the Eric, who is the board member, and then Brent, lead sysadmin, also kind of important figure, and he is an ops guy. And then we have John, CISO. Well, he hides there behind it and looks miserable because he is CISO, you know. Anyway, lots of ops guys, and you know who is not in the picture? There is not a single developer in the picture. I mean, the developers are in the book, kind of, sort of, not really pictured in the best of lights. They pictured as people who kind of write their code and then throw it over the silo to the developers. Well, you know the story, right? This is kind of why we have DevOps to solve this problem. But there are no developers there. Exhibit B, Google. Let's look at who pushes DevOps, who kind of made their goal to make sure that all of us know about DevOps and make sure that we understand it. So who do we have here? We have Amazon, which is an ops, obviously an ops platform. We have Atlassian, DevOps company. We have GitLab, another CI/CD ops platform. And then we have Microsoft, another ops infrastructure platform. And then we have TechTarget, they are journalists. We have Wikipedia. We have Synopsys, and Synopsys do DevOps consulting. And then we have Logs.io, that's observability logs, observability ops tool. And then we have IBM, another ops platform. Wherever we look, we will see that ops people try to sell DevOps to us very, very hard. You know why? Because where there is DevOps, there is ops, right? So in order to investigate why this push, why ops people are so obsessed with pushing DevOps to us, we need to ask the question, what's going on? There might be a couple of explanations. The first is simple: money. So here is a question in Quora. as a Linux system administrator, how should I shift my career to DevOps? A very legit question, and the answers are remarkable. Here is one of them. For example, you need to learn a bunch of stuff. You need to learn Chef, Maven, Jenkins, Puppet, something that is called Gits. And then apparently you become DevOps. You become a DevOps engineer. The marvelous thing that is going to happen to you when you learn Gits is that your salary will go from this for a system administrator salary to this for DevOps engineer salary, which is a remarkable raise from $37 per hour to $61 per hour just for learning Gits and a bunch of other tools. And obviously there is like a market is on fire because hey, it's a gold mine. And next thing you know, during the economic downtime with almost 500,000 people fired, there are still 20,000 open positions for DevOps engineer only in United States, like right now. This is pretty remarkable. And also, when there is money to be made, there is a lot of supporting industry, for example, certifications. Remember Amazon that pushed DevOps to us? Now they have certifications for DevOps engineers, which obviously generate more money for them and also make those new DevOps engineers that will go and embark on this journey of 20,000 open positions, fill those 20,000 open positions and earn tons of money. Now, on top of all the hype, there is something here in this particular slide that pisses me off to unhealthy levels, I have to say. And this is the term DevOps engineer. The whole idea of DevOps engineer is inherently wrong, and we will get to that in a second, and we will discuss why it is wrong and what's wrong with it. But now I want to say, hey, frankly, I don't think that money was the original driver behind DevOps. Frankly, I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. It's actually started with some other intentions, really picked up, and this is where the money came. Now, the question is, how did it get started? Where are the origins of DevOps? And the origins of DevOps are here. Developers have something that they consider their work, which is writing their code during workday, during like doing awesome job in providing, like writing the code, testing the code, and then they're done. The definition of done for developers for years was, well, we write this code, it's scalable, it's tested, it adheres to our requirements, and then that's all. This is what ops people left with, right? They have a new daily release of code, some quality, might do the job, might pass tests. Usually, no one checked if this code was easily deployable. No one checked if this code is going to work in anything closer to production. They are just deal with it. And obviously, the timelines that developers guess and estimate how long it will take to develop this feature or another never take into consideration the idea of, hey, this also should be deployed. We should leave time for ops people to do something with that. So in the end of the day, DevOps was invented by ops people to include developers in this entire process of, hey, in the end of the day, we need our product to be deployed. You wrote the code. If it's not in production, no one cares about it. So you really need to be there with us when we deploy it to production in order for us to double check that your code works. So this kind of proves my point, right? DevOps was invented by ops people to solve their own problems. It's not their problems though, it's the business problem. If ops are there to pick up the slack after whatever developers wrote, and it's not deployable, and it's not tested, and it's not integrated, they pick up the slack and they need to figure it out when the developers already went home and don't care about it anymore. This is not how it should be. Developers should be involved. They should be there. But so basically the ops people saying like, hey, welcome to DevOps. We are in this together. Both of us need to participate in it. Help us make sure that our product gets to production. Now, the problem is that it usually looks more like that. Developers maybe understand the need, but it really feels like, hey, you just dumped more work into my lap. I was fine in going home at 5 p.m. My work was scoped and I understood the scope. It was simple. I understood what's going on. Now suddenly you tell me that there is so much more that needs to be done and that I need to do it. I don't want to do it. And after more than 10 years of trying to commit developers to our DevOps cause, they're not excited. They're still not excited. So what I want to talk to you in the remaining time is how can we move from developers being upset with the whole concept of DevOps to developers being excited about the whole concept of DevOps. And a lot, I would say, depends on how do we position DevOps correctly. And here, I want to come back to my obsession with the term DevOps engineer. Here's a hot take. DevOps engineer is not a thing. DevOps engineer makes as much sense as collaboration engineer, which obviously doesn't make sense. And the reason why DevOps engineer makes as much sense as collaboration engineer, because DevOps, at least in the concept, is a collaborative context, a collaborative idea, a collaborative methodology. It was intended to be collaboration between dev and ops. It's not an engineering thing at all. So attaching to it the term engineer doesn't make sense. And when I go to this rant, people like Baruch, whatever, why do you care? We named it DevOps engineer. Everybody understands what it means. You write YAMLs all day. Okay, fine. We understand it shouldn't be an engineering thing, but we called an engineering thing. So now go away and stop being obsessed about it. But the problem is that terminology generates behavior. And let me give you an example, this particular example, how it affects our behavior and what we end up with. So what do you do when you have a bunch of DevOps engineers? You put them in a team. And then you're like, hey, we have an awesome DevOps team. They are so great. They are the best DevOps engineers that will write the best YAML files and will spin up the best Kubernetes clusters. How awesome is that? But if you think that this is what DevOps teams means, for me, DevOps teams means this. It's actually recreating a silo that we try to escape. And silos, as you know from DevOps theory, are terrible. Silos are the reason why the previous paradigm didn't work and we needed DevOps. Silos is what DevOps strive to solve. And when you take DevOps team and put them in a silo, you have a dystopian TV show about how in a ruined and toxic world, 1,000 live in a giant silo. That's DevOps team. Because now we are back to square one. we are back of developers have their own silo, they write their code, and then they're done. Because, there is like an entire team of DevOps engineers that we can throw our code over the fence, and they will figure it out. Now, obviously, we are back to the same problems. And you know what? One of the solutions to breaking up this silo is coming up with a collaborative methodology that will bridge the gap between dev teams and DevOps teams. How about we call it DevOps? It's a great idea. We'll have a great methodology until someone will come up with DevOps engineer. And we go round and round. So you understand why I'm upset. DevOps shouldn't be attached to a person, to a title. DevOps engineer is not a thing. DevOps is not a title. DevOps engineer is not a person. Instead, DevOps is a methodology. And this is where you go like, hey, but there is an engineering aspect to it. It exists, right? And if you pay attention to the chat, Brad is on point. There is an engineering aspect to it. And this engineering aspect actually have a name and always had a name. Thad Vargo and I forgot her name. Liz from Jones explained to us what this technical implementation, what the engineering aspect is called. And it's called SRE, Site Reliability Engineers. It has the engineering in the name, and it actually makes a lot of sense because this is what the engineering aspect of DevOps actually does. It sets up the infrastructure on our site or service that makes sure that we can release and operate our software successfully. This is what DevOps is about. Site reliability engineers come, they set up the infrastructure, and then developer take their code all the way to production with site reliability engineers holding their hands. This is great. This is exactly how DevOps was envisioned. The problem is, again, with terminology. Site reliability engineering is a very unfortunate name because it has two terms which are extremely how to call it, ambivalent. Site sounds like a website, and reliability sounds like something that we maintain. So no one wants to be a site reliability engineer. Well, not no one, but a lot of people see this title as something very, very limited. I have a personal anecdote to tell. When I was in JFrog and I already was on my crusade against DevOps engineers and DevOps teams, JFrog had a DevOps team. And I was like extremely upset without it. I came to them and I'm like, hey, folks, what are you doing? We're supposed to promote the correct understanding of DevOps. How can we have a DevOps team? It goes against everything DevOps stands about. And they told me, the managers, that, hey, we just cannot hire otherwise. If we try to hire site reliability engineers, people who come to us are people who are okay with maintaining the jfrog.com website. Whatever WordPress we have there, they're like, yeah, we'll keep it up. That's what site reliability engineers does, right? It keeps the website up. And this is a terrible name. This is not what DevOps engineering implementation is. And this is really unfortunate term. Platform engineering, our Lord and Savior. It's the hottest term right now. And I cannot be more happy, because what it actually means is that this is what it should have been from the beginning. I attended a great conference a couple of weeks ago in Singapore called DevOps Talks, when I heard Scott Shaw, the Chief Technology Officer of ThoughtWorks, speaking about how DevOps engineers are rebranding themselves as platform engineers. I cheered like crazy, because this is perfect. I need everybody get the hell out of the term DevOps engineers and embrace the platform engineer. And if everybody want to be a platform engineer, this is perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. And if you look through 33 million results for platform engineering that you can count on Google, most of them speak about exactly that. Next stage of DevOps evolution. DevOps teams create, well, platform engineers implement and manage software. Perfect. And then we have like platform engineering versus there are a bunch of people talking about exactly that. I also asked our new source of truth, used to be Google, not anymore, what is a platform engineering in a sentence? And ChatGPT goes like, platform engineering is about building and managing scalable infrastructure and services that enable developers to efficiently deploy and run applications. How great is that? That's exactly what DevOps engineering implementation is all about. Platform engineers build infrastructure and services, and then developers deploy and run the applications they wrote. It is perfect. So just to clarify, it's someone who writes all the YAML files, right? And yeah, it is. Jokes aside, this is exactly what it means. So platform engineer is actually SRE in the correct term, and this is great. Now, with this addition, it actually concludes the DevOps discussion, at least for me. And frankly, I think for the entire industry. We figure DevOps. We know all the answers. We know how to make sure that developers participate in the release of the product together with DevOps up, together with Ops, together with platform engineers. They work together. Boom. DevOps is happening. Now, I'm not trying to say that the entire industry does it correctly. I'm even not trying to say that the entire industry understands DevOps correctly. All I'm saying is, if you want to do your research and you want to put your mind into it, you can find the correct answers and you can learn how DevOps is done. With that aside, I'm coming back to the idea that, hey, the developers are still not happy. They still feel that their productivity is going down, that they have now more work that they used to have without DevOps and without the pesky platform engineers that annoy me. And here, Brad is mentioning the description of platform engineering for Bard. That's the another generative AI platform from Google. And Bard explains it as platform engineering is the discipline of building self-service tools and workflows to enable software engineers to deliver value to production quickly and reliably. Hell yes, perfect. This is the DevOps engineering implementation. Once those people, the engineers that make DevOps possible, lay those self-service tools and workflows in place, developers will use them to deliver their software all the way to production. Perfect. DevOps bliss. But now, again, developers. They're like, okay, we used to write code and that was that. Now we need to do tons of more stuff. How do it doesn't help us. It actually makes us work harder. I have a solution, and I'm getting to that. Now, our evolution of understanding of DevOps can be very nicely illustrated in how we think about it. In the beginning, it was this stupid Venn diagram. It was something, something developer, something, something operation, something, something QA, boom, DevOps in the middle. What does it mean? No one knows what does it mean. Does it mean that people need to know everything about all those through disciplines? Well, maybe, but we learned that it's not true. There are no unicorns that can know everything about everything. This is bullshit. And then we switched like, okay, can we think about DevOps in terms of people, process, and tools? This is nice. So it has to do with a lot of people. We need to improve our processes, and then we need tools that enable all of them. This is makes much more sense. But what people, what tools, what processes? Well, productive people, productive process, productive tools. This is something that will make DevOps happening. So if we use productive tools within productive processes, we will make people more productive, and this is how we will have better software faster. How cool is that? This is a modern implementation of or understanding of DevOps. Now, the question is, what does it mean? We have some answers. We have a great answer about productive teams. Productive teams are productive process, are empowered teams. We put together platform engineers, software engineers, testing engineers, security engineers, product specialists, and we make them work together on delivering value on this platform that our platform engineers built all the way to production. This is great, this works, and it's absolutely awesome. Productive tools, well, kinda, sorta. We have some tools that help platform engineers to build those self-service tools and workflows. How productive they are, it's an open question, but whatever. I mean, we understand what productive tools at least mean, even if we don't have them in this particular part of our journey. The interesting question is, how do we make people more productive, especially the developers, but also platform engineers? In the end of the day, if you remember an explanation what SRE is, which in turn means what platform engineers is one of the core concepts there is treating hardware problems as they were software problems. Everything as a service, infrastructure as a service. In the end of the day, everything is software and everybody are software engineers. How do we make software engineers more productive? And the pain is real, right? So, for example, builds and tests are slow. 90% of people in surveyed IT organizations, Gradle did the survey, 90% reported that IT organizations experience challenges with too much time spent waiting on the build and test feedback. Sitting there, waiting for my build to finish, and I don't know what to do. I can stare at the logs, stupid, I can start multitasking. You all figure out that that's not a productive way to go. This is a real pain. Development pains are widespread. What else? Like the first and 84%, that's the build and test. What else? Inability to easily troubleshoot and determine the root cause of build, test, and CI failures. My build fails, I don't know why. Maybe it's a flaky test. Maybe it's something else. How do I know this? It's terrible, I don't. And more than 50%, almost 60%, also mentioned that there are degradations over time. My build used to be fast, now is now it's slow. Brad, good catch. This is a survey that is done among Gradle enterprise users. Obviously, they solved the problem, but they had this problem to begin with. Otherwise, they wouldn't buy Gradle enterprise. But let me ask you, do you disagree? tell me, do you think that slow tests and build times, or inability to easily troubleshoot and determine the root cause, or sliding of build performance over time is not a problem? Write me in the chat if you disagree. So yeah, it might have a survey bias, but I bet that if we do a completely valid survey, the results will be absolutely the same, if not actually more, the percentage of people suffering. Yeah, and here, all right, Brad, you agree? Yeah, so here we go. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, so I love fun discussions. I get distracted about it, but it's still worth it. Brad, thank you for doing it. You're awesome. So development productivity engineering is a solution for making people more productive. And for me, it kind of completes this picture of where DevOps really should be. And developer productivity engineering, what do I mean by that? It's like a vague term. We came up with 7 tenets that kind of root developer productivity engineering in actionable items. The first, and I would say the most important, is foster faster feedback. Now, you can think about different levels of feedback for different tools that you use. When you use an IDE, your feedback is immediate. You made a typo in the class name string, you put spring instead, boom, it will highlight that you made an error in milliseconds. This is immediate feedback. On the other side, you have your production feedback. You release, how often you release, hours, days, weeks, sometimes months pass until you get the feedback that your software is running successfully or unsuccessfully in production. Now, there are a lot of steps in between. Think about your CI. In CI, you might have different builds for different scenarios. You might have your pull request build. When you merge a pull request, it might be any time from minutes to hours. Then you have nightly build. It can be hours to days. And this is your feedback loop. Now, there is one exception of this natural length of feedback. Immediate from what you are doing right now, very long for what is asynchronous. And that's your build. Your build is very close to what you want to have it immediate, because it's in your IDE, right? So you wrote some code, you build it locally to check that it actually works. But in reality, lots of builds for a lot of folks in a lot of companies are closer to CI types, which are by definition asynchronous. You have a synchronous feedback that you wait on asynchronous times. This is terrible. You need to make sure that you make the feedback faster and faster. Now, funny story. If you ask ChatGPT how to make your Maven build faster, the first advice will be skip tests. This is terrible advice because it actually lowers the amount of feedback. Yes, you will get it faster, but if the feedback is less meaningful, what did you gain? You actually lose. It's like, you know what? I will never compile my code because I don't want to wait for it. That's a super fast feedback. I just don't do it. And then I'll just dump it to production and we'll see what happens. This is a terrible idea. Skipping tests is as terrible. How do we make faster feedback for our build, for our tests, for our security checks, for our linting, for everything, but make it faster and bringing the local build time with all those checks as much closer to immediate feedback as possible? So this is faster feedback. Eliminate toil for developers. There are terrible procedures that are there without any good reason. The most effective way to eliminate toil for developers is collaborating through effective tooling. Instead of opening Jira tickets for stuff that can be automated or eliminated, prioritize automation and eliminate bottlenecks. This is something from a DevOps book, right? DevOps, one of the tenets of DevOps is prioritize automation and eliminate bottlenecks. We do it for production deployment systems. Why don't we do it for developer experience? We should. It's right there. Embrace rigorous observability for proactive improvement. This is something that we do for production systems. There are tons of techniques and tools and practices on how to observe production systems. Why don't we do it for our development? Why don't we use it to actually productively improving developer productivity? We definitely should. One more tenet that might seem a little bit less obvious and even counterintuitive, especially for the DevOps people, is dedicated organizational mindset. You remember how we fought and still fighting, my personal crusade is fighting against DevOps teams. Now, surprise, with developer productivity engineering, dedicated team is actually a must, and I'm going to get to it in a second. Last tenet, over outcomes over output. That's again something from DevOps book. We need to make sure that we measure the right thing and look at the right results. And you know what? It actually helps. And this is bread where the results are actually on point. We ask the users of Gradle Enterprise, or known as the Velocity right now, if DPE helps. And it does. 84% say developer productivity engineering dramatically improves productivity. Same people, I guess, 84% say developer productivity engineering foster developer joy. This is developer joy is such a powerful term. Think about developers who are excited about their work. What will be their view on, hey, you should see your code all the way to production? I bet they will be happy to and not upset. Now, getting back to this organizational mindset that I mentioned, a lot of people will tell you, hey, developer productivity engineering is not my job. My job is writing code. My job is building the service platform because I'm a platform engineer. My job is writing YAML files because I'm an SRE, whatever. This is exactly the same. It looks very familiar to what people used to say, DevOps is not my job. Now, how do we fought this DevOps is not my job? We actually paid attention to what DevOps supposed to do to us. And DevOps supposed to help business bring the product to production faster, with better quality, with less bugs, with less tears, whatever. Developer productivity engineering is different. Outcome of DevOps processes is the product running in production. Outcome of developer productivity engineering is more productive work. It doesn't have the same obvious and clear value. It has tons of value. It's not that obvious as the product itself. And what it does is that it affects urgency, perceived urgency by people. DevOps is on everybody's minds, because if the DevOps processes are broken, our product in production are just not there, are broken, we let our customers down, our bottom line suffers, you call it. DevOps is always on everybody's minds. We don't need to go around our teams and say like, hey, do you remember DevOps? Of course they do. This is what they do. Developer productivity engineering sleeps away. Well, how many times you think about making your build more effective, comparing to what you think about Roman Empire, or how much you think about your product being in production? If you got the Roman Empire meme, congrats, you're up to date with your memology. Organizational structure has direct effect to that. For DevOps, We don't need a DevOps team because everybody think about product in production all the time. DPE that slips away and you don't think about it all the time actually requires an organizational mindset. It requires a dedicated team that will put their mind all the time on developer productivity engineering and will rigorously improve it throughout the organization all the time. And the best DPE organizations actually build focused teams. And you can see right now organizations that hire developer productivity engineers for their DPE teams. Snowflake, developer productivity engineering manager. LinkedIn, productivity and IT team that includes developer productivity and enterprise productivity. Microsoft, senior software engineer platform and engineering productivity. Spotify, developer productivity team, and they are hiring right now. Netflix, senior full stack software engineer, developer productivity. Elastic, cloud tech lead, engineering productivity. Everybody are hiring developer productivity engineers, and this is great because this is the part of this evolutionary process that we are witnessing right now with DevOps. How DevOps came to be as an evolution, and the DPE comes right now to be as an evolution. And frankly, this is a great time to be in this industry, and particularly in this corner of the industry. If this is something that resonates with you, if you are excited about the possibility of making the life of engineers better through developer productivity engineering, pay attention. There are tons of very exciting possibilities right there. So just to summarize, DevOps, SRE, PE, DPE, what's going on? So DevOps mainly solves ops concerns. That was proven as bright as light of day. It is a collaborative methodology, and it needs engineering implementation. Call it SRE, call it PE. Someone has to write all those YAML files and build those platforms and frameworks that enable the code to go to production. But what about people productivity? Developer productivity engineering has the answer, and it's another pillar of DevOps engineering implementation. With that, thank you very much. You can learn more and try DPE today. You can take your Gradle and Maven Speed Challenge. It's 5 to 10 minutes work. It's speeding up your Maven and Gradle build, and you can win amazing prizes for just doing that. You can be a true DPE agent of change. You go to our influence platform. There are tons of fun challenges that spreads the gospel of DPE around and brings you even more prizes. You can read the DPE handbook written by Hans Doctor and others. Hans is CEO and the co-founder of Gradle, obviously. And there are tons of more information about that. And you can watch the Developer Productivity Engineering Summit that took place last week. You can watch the videos and get a lot of DPE wisdom from there. All that and more is at speaking.jbaruch. You can scan the QR code, you can go to this URL, and you will have all the links right there. Just to remind you, DevOps Vision, we're going to talk about DPE there as well. December 4th to 6th, Clearwater Beach, Florida. Great place to be. Amazing promotions going on right now. Early bird and buy 5, get 5, jbaruch/B5G5. And with that, we have about 8 minutes for Q&A. And I'm at JBaruch everywhere. This is No Fluff, Just Stuff webinar. Speaking at JBaruch is where you find all the goodies that I mentioned. With that, thank you very much. I will stop sharing so we can, we can talk. Now, if anyone wants to ask a question live, ping me on ping me in the chat, and I will unmute you so you can ask the question, or just raise your Zoom hand, whatever. Or we can just have 8 minutes back on our lives. This is also valid. No, okay, here is Karen asking the question. Let me unmute or ask you to unmute. If you want to like ask with voice, that will be even nicer. Or I can read it, it's fine. There are teams within our organization with certain name like DevOps teams. How do we convince them to avoid the rebranding? So not to avoid rebranding, to rebrand, I guess. So I think what we just spoke about is the most important thing. You can ask them stuff like, hey folks, do you feel that the silos are back? Do you feel that the developers keep throwing their work on you and you are there by yourself? And I bet they will tell you yes. They will tell you, yes, the silos are back. We are not better than before we even started our DevOps journey. They kind of throw it on us and we have to deal with it by ourselves. And then the recommendation will be, let's get back to the basics of DevOps. Let's understand what DevOps is about. It's not about having DevOps teams with DevOps engineers. It is about participating with the developers, being part of their teams, and make sure that they have the tools that platform engineering now enables to actually make sure that they develop, not only develop, but also deploy their value to production. I hope that helped. Brett, how do you think the customers of DPE are primarily the developers? How do you convince key stakeholders that they need to invest in it? That's a great question. So as I mentioned, everybody are developers, right? I mean, even ops people, when they treat hardware as software, they become developers. They work in IDE, they work in VS Code, they write code, YAML, but still. So yes, obviously the core are the hardcore developers that write code, but everybody will benefit. Convincing the stakeholders is very easy. You can start by small stuff and see the gains immediately. In the end of the day, if you bring your build or the build of your team by using the open source and free tools that are there, down from 10 minutes to 5 minutes to 3 minutes, and then you do the simplest math of accumulating those gains for you, for your team members throughout a week, a month, a year, it really piles up to tons of money. And no one will walk away from saving tons of money. No one will walk away from those gains that are available right now, today. And then you say, hey, you saw that? This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the free and open source tools. Imagine how much we can save if we use proper tools like the velocity, hey, product pitch, how much this can save us. And obviously in Gradle, we can help you with that. You contact us and we're like, of course, we will build a use case for your enterprise stakeholders. Of course, we can show you the savings that are translated directly to money. So just talk to us, talk to other people in the space, and building a business case for developer productivity engineering is surprisingly and extraordinarily easy. All right, folks, if there are no more further questions, I thank you for being here. Don't forget to check DevOps Vision. Don't forget to bring your entire DevOps team that you shouldn't have with you because of buy 5, get 5. And I will see you all in Clearwater Beach, Florida in December. Cheers. Bye-bye.